Go back into South Bend's history. 20 years, 50 years, 100 years? And what do you see? You see groups of people working to bring change to this city. They had different ideas of what that change should be. They didn't always agree. Yet, in every decade, there were groups of people for whom positive change was their life's work. This podcast, South Bend's Own Words, features the voices of people who helped make this city change. We'll share clips from the oral histories done by the Indiana University South Bend Civil Rights Heritage Center that tell a more complete history of the city. It's the story of many cultures, not just one. It's the story of South Bend. Savino Rivera Sr. is a bilingual educator and coach with 2 decades of service to the South Bend Community School Corporation. He was the middle child, but the oldest boy of 2 migrant farm workers. When his father left the family, his mother continued farm work to support him and his 9 brothers and sisters. With her working almost every hour, almost every day, and with no history in U.S. schools, Savino had to navigate high school, college, and career on his own. Fortunately, he had help from friends and from his community. One helper was Maritza Robles, the late school board member and advocate for local Latinx students. With her leadership, Savino provided support for thousands of local immigrant and migrant students in our schools. In 2018, I sat down with Savino along with Valeria Chamorro from the Civil Rights Heritage Center. We talked to Savino about his life on the farms, how he navigated predominantly white spaces, and about working with the late
if you could
Maritza
please
Robles.
just state your name.
Savino Rivera.
Savino, I want to thank you seriously for taking the time to do this. I want people to understand a bit about your life history. So can you start just by telling me when you were born and where?
I was born in Marshall, Michigan, May 7th, 1962.
Mm-hmm.
I have 11 siblings, 8 sisters and 3 brothers. I'm the first, I'm right in the middle, so I'm the oldest boy. And we lived in Michigan. We did a lot of migrant work. We worked in the tomatoes, the strawberries, cleaning the onions, weeding the potatoes. And during the spring break and during winter break, I also worked in the barn with my mom and sorting and bagging the onions and the potatoes.
So you said you were on the migrant farm track. Where did you and your family travel?
We traveled when we were younger. First we started from Texas to Oklahoma, back to Texas to Oklahoma, and then we worked our way up to Michigan. Then my dad found a job in a factory called Malibu, a steel foundation where they made port steel. Mm-hmm. So then we stayed there. Years later, came home from school. My dad was gone. I was like, "Where is he?" My mom said, "Well, he left a note, said he wasn't coming back." So, pretty much, like I say, all my life I grew up without a dad. All of our siblings did. And we were, I guess, assumed the role as being the oldest boy to take on responsibilities of, making sure the house was taken care of, lawn cut, trash thrown out, maintenance, cleaning up, and so forth. My mother really worked hard in the agriculture field, and 6 to 6 every day, Monday through Friday, half day, Saturday, 6 to noon. And my mom couldn't speak English, she couldn't write. At the time when my dad left, she didn't have a driver's license, so she had to learn how to drive. She had to learn how to maneuver the culture here in the United States and how to find a better life for us. Mom was very strict. She did not play. Very strict with all of us. She was able to raise all 11 of us by herself, and we really did not do without. We didn't have much, but we didn't do without. Sometimes there's, have and want. Well, we had what we needed.
Yeah.
It's not, we didn't have what we wanted, but we had what we needed.
Where was she born?
She was born in Mexico, but Dad was also born in Mexico. They met in Texas, and they became citizens in Texas, and that's where they met. Farm work is not easy. It is not easy. I remember one during the winter, I was working there for the 2 weeks when I was on winter break. They had these little, have you seen the little bags of onions, like 8-pound bags of onions in a red net?
Yep.
Well, they put it on this machine that goes, and it kind of goes like this fast. And it's got a little lever that goes up, and once it hits there, it opens up the arms, and once it hits here, it starts going down. Well, they start closing. Well, you got to be able to put the new bag on, grab the one that's filling up, she spin it, put it through the stapler.
Wow.
And she said, well, let me go to the restroom. I said, okay, I'll take your place. There's about 15 bags on the floor because I couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep up at all.
Yeah.
It was really hard work. And I could say that out of I could say 25 people that are working there, there was only 2 people that could do it full speed. That was my mom and my sister, Felipa. 2. Any guy that they put there, they had to slow it all the way down. You know, when they were working, it was going like this. When they put the guys, they were going
super slow.
That was one of them. Yeah. So I could say that my mom was a really hard worker. She any job there at the farm that she could do it and do it well. She never complained. It's one thing, she never ever complained.
And then at what point did you and your family settle in South Bend?
It was in 1973, April of 1973. We rented a home here at on Cushing Street. She bought it on a land contract, you know. It was like they signed, they said you make the payments monthly, and once you pay it off, it's yours. So she paid off the house. It's her home. I could say that everything that she put into that home was through hard work, love and commitment that she worked it was all through farm work. That was it.
So you're coming here in 1973. At that point, you know, the farms on the west side around Mayflower, those have been established for a long time. And then Western Avenue was kind of just starting to become a center for Latinx immigrants.
Well, back then, there was one Mexican store called La Mexicana. And that was it. Everybody would travel there to go there. And as you look at it now, there's plenty of Mexican stores all over the place. Restaurants, stores, dresses, you name it, taxes, barbershops, boutiques.
But that was not true when this first came.
It didn't even exist when we first arrived. There was one store. And everybody came to that store.
Yeah.
On Cushing Street, I could probably count on one hand the African Americans. It was more of a Polish and because we were the only Hispanics on that block.
Right.
So coming into Colfax School was an eye-opening experience for me because I was just around a white community in Michigan, in the country, being bussed in and bussed back home. Coming into the city, I walked to school because we're right across the street. So principal comes down, he's white, takes me to the, takes me in, we register. My mom's with me. Then teacher comes down, Mr. Saxton comes down and takes me to class. So we're walking up, going to class. The shock to me was when I opened the door. There was one white student, one Hispanic student, and all African American students. And I was like, you know, just, I had never seen so many African American students in my life at one time. I was in kind of, what I was thinking. But with that experience, I had to make a lot of good friends. Just being, when you get around different cultures, you're able to adapt to the different cultures, and then I can kind of say I'm a, what do you call it? Things that could fade into.
Like a chameleon?
Chameleon, that's right. Oh, that's what I was thinking. I can go into my professional world and be professional. I can go out in here and be street, and then come over here and be with these friends and blend right in, and then.
I think the word is code switching.
There you go, code switching.
So when you went into school, by that point, had you learned English?
Yes.
No. Where did you learn English from?
School.
Not from school.
Yeah,
From the school in Michigan?
In Michigan. Because my parents, was nothing but Spanish.
Right.
So I grew up with my first language being Spanish. And then once I entered, kindergarten, I started to pick up the language of English.
Colfax School went through which grade? At that time?
Up to sixth grade.
So what was sixth? What was after that education?
Central. I went to Central High School, 7th and 8th grade, because they closed it down after my 8th grade. Then I went to Brown, that opened up in 1977. I went to Brown for 1 year, and then I went to LaSalle for my last 3 years and graduated from LaSalle High School.
Gotcha. At LaSalle, were you still one of the only Latino students, or were you seeing some more Latino students?
Two other families, the Delgado family and us that were there. There was the Alvarez family. And when I graduated from high school, I didn't even know what I was going to do. I didn't know what direction to go. The counselors really didn't. That year I had a counselor that just had graduated from college and was first year counselor at school. So I really didn't know him. I was able to complete my financial aid through one of my friends because he had done it and he showed me how to do it. My mom didn't know, couldn't speak, write English, and didn't know what was going on. Other than that, I was just on my own in school, and I was the first one to go.
Right. So refresh my memory, Southwestern Michigan College was the first?
Yeah, Southwestern Michigan, then IU Bloomington.
Gotcha. And again, at Bloomington, did you find yourself among a lot of Latinx people?
There wasn't many.
Yeah.
Not like there is now. My son graduated from there, and then when I went to go visit, they even have like La Casa there that supports the community where it didn't even exist in the 1983. Yeah. I mean, you can count on one hand the Hispanics there.
But you were able to graduate among, if not the first in your family to get a college diploma, I presume, or
first to graduate in high school, and in college.
So, what was your first job out of college?
I worked as a supervisor at South Bend Stamping, the stamping facility. So I worked there, and I remember the older mid-aged people didn't kind of respect me because I was like, you still have milk around your mouth. You're only 22, and you're trying to tell me what to do.
Right.
So it's I learned how to communicate with the people there. So by being able to communicate with them enabled me to have more of a successful, productive line, because I was able to work with them and not look at them as robots, like look at them as people. So I developed that skill.
Right.
And I worked there for about 12 years. And then it closed down, and then I went to apply for bilingual services. And once I applied for bilingual services, the director there was Maritza Robles. She says to me, I was wondering when you were going to come and apply. I said, well, I'm here.
I'm presuming most of the students that you worked with were relatively new to the U.S. and the
I worked with all the level 0 to 4.
What does that mean?
Proficiency levels.
Okay.
So if you're proficiency level 5, it would be like you and I right now talking. Level 3 is kind of talking, but it's in
broken yeah.
Spanish, yeah. Level 2, very, then the 1, you look at me and I just smile.
Right.
So yeah, it's just working with all the students, and we had EL classes from K to 6. So I was the liaison between the parent, the teacher, the administrators, and the student. So I made phone calls for them, whatever they needed. I took care of it.
I mean, tell me, just for those who don't know, walk us through what that classroom looks like. How are students is the goal to get everybody to a 5 English proficiency, or?
It is. Yeah. It's a goal to get everyone to a 5 because you have, you have people from Africa,
sure,
from Iraq, Vietnamese, from Honduras, from El Salvador, from Guatemala, from Mexico. And just because they speak Spanish, it's not the same dialect.
So. Because they speak Spanish doesn't mean they speak the same Spanish.
Yeah. One word could mean one thing. Yeah, it's good. But this word, you say it to the Puerto Rican, you're insulting them.
Right. When you got to the high school, was it still working with people who had little to no proficiency?
So working with the students there, we're able to build a lot of bridges for them to exit from where they thought they were just going to graduate and go to work, but now they can graduate and go to college. And we were able to open those doors for them through the bilingual services, taking them on college visits, exposing them to financial aid, SAT, ACT, preparing them for that.
All the things you didn't have.
No. There was not one person that went out of their way to say you have to take your SAT. Nobody told me about that. Because I remember my boss, Maritza, says that she told me, she goes, you're not going to save them all. You'll exhaust yourself before that happens. And that was true. I was trying to save everyone. But you're not going to. They have to want to save themselves.
Was that hard?
It was. Because, sometimes, you take those emotions with you, and my eyesight twitch. You take the emotions with you, and just to see what these kids are going through, and you're trying to get them over that barrier. And some of them succeed, and others try very hard, and it's life changing.
Tell me more about working with Maritza.
Maritza was a very direct, strong individual. She said goes. It was just but she gave me the opportunity to become who I am at my job, because if it wasn't for her to give me this opportunity to work for her, I wouldn't be sitting here today. And she supported me 110% on what decisions that I was making there. And that was just the one thing about her. She always had your back. Always, no matter what. So she was a very good boss. She was a very good director. And anything that I needed, or any guidance that I needed, or anything I needed to do with the kids, she was in full support.
I'm thinking too about some of the interactions with the other teachers, because of course, systemic racism in the schools is a thing. Was that part of your experience? So as you're translating back and forth, as you're hearing from students, are you hearing experiences of racist incidents among teachers to students? How is that interaction for the most part?
Well, I heard of that. The most popular one was, you can't speak Spanish in my class. Well, sometimes you have to.
Right.
Because if you're at level 1 and then you have a level 4 sitting right next to him, he's going to interpret what the teacher's saying, and then you don't want him to speak Spanish.
You're literally tying one arm behind the back of that student's success.
So it's, at times that's where you myself would go and talk to the teacher about it and just say, this is what is going to happen. What they're trying to do, and this is how we're going to be able to help this kid.
So were you empowered to be able to tell that teacher your rule is not okay, and or was it more of a? Did you have to?
I had to go with the administration.
You could go to the administration. Okay.
Yeah.
And did you get support from the administration
Yes.
then? That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Because that's not always the case.
Yeah, it was 100. Well, the staff that I worked with at Adams were very supportive.
Good. Are you still at the school corporation?
I'm still at the school corporation, but under another title. I'm the IDNR recruiter. I work with migrant families now. So I go out and recruit and work with the families and identify them. And once I identify them, our Migrant Regional Service Center goes out and provides services for them.
Are you seeing any changes over the past 5 years in that?
As far as?
Given the current political climate, what we're seeing, and some of the horrible things that we're seeing, is that being reflected in
it
the
is.
people that you're working with?
Now it's more of the workers that used to travel more, the migrant workers that migrate from down south to up north are scared to drive because of the ice. So that's a lot of them are not coming.
What services are you able to provide for some of the children?
Children, we provide dental, hearing, vision services, backpack supplies, school supplies. We provide tutoring, uniforms, technology.
All the things you didn't have.
All the things, yeah. So we're bridging the gap in their education of what they don't have to be able to keep up with somebody that does have to be successful.
South Bend's Own Words was created by Kevin Tidmarsh and me, George Garner. This episode was produced by Joey Meyers from the Ernestine M. Raclin School of the Arts at IU South Bend, and by me through the Civil Rights Heritage Center. Visit us and learn how IU South Bend students inspired the transformation of a once segregated South Bend swimming pool. We give guided tours and offer public events that show how the history of oppression echoes through the city today. See and hear more history, plan your visit, or share your thoughts about this episode, all at crhc.iusb.edu.